Hello and welcome to today's lesson where we're looking at transactional leadership. Now, transactional leadership is a style of leadership that uses reward and punishment to motivate subordinates. It gets its name because it relies on an exchange or a transaction. Subordinates who perform tasks as specified receive a reward in exchange for their efforts, while those that underperform are punished or reprimanded. Now, transactional leadership was first described by Max Weber, a German sociologist born in 1864, although he called it rational legal leadership. And Weber is most widely known as the creator of bureaucratic leadership or bureaucratic theory. Now, transactional leadership is also referred to as managerial leadership because it focuses highly on subordinate supervision, organization, and performance, which are very managerial tasks. Now, there are several important characteristics to note about transformational leadership. So, the first characteristic is contingent rewards. Transactional leaders are very focused on getting results and getting them quickly. To do this, they appeal to their subordinates' self-interest by using rewards and punishment. So, when a subordinate performs a task successfully, they get rewarded. When they fail to perform a task adequately, they get punished. The second characteristic is maintaining the status quo. Transactional leaders work within the existing constraints of the organization to get things done. They work within the current change of command, which should be clear and well defined. They do not tend to think outside the box. So as such, they're good at ensuring existing processes are executed efficiently and that simple and routine issues are dealt with quickly. They're not so good when it comes to solving complex problems that require inventiveness or determining entirely new ways of doing things outside of the existing status quo. Now, the third characteristic is management by exception, meaning they only get involved when their subordinates' work deviates from what has been agreed upon. Now, each transactional leader can manage by exception in one of two ways, either actively or passively. Actively means they will closely monitor the work of subordinates as it is being done and take immediate corrective action as soon as something appears wrong. Passive transactional leaders, on the other hand, don't monitor work as it happens, but instead take corrective action only once issues have been brought to their attention. The fourth characteristic is a short-term focus. Now, because transactional leaders are practical in the sense that they focus on efficiency within the existing status quo, getting things we already know how to do done faster, they're best suited to that kind of thing where the focus is short-term. Now, getting more of the same done only quicker, that suits them perfectly, and so does managing simple tasks over and over again, such as supervising a call center. Large, complex change projects that require an organization to change its entire shape obviously aren't going to suit them as well. And the final characteristic is extrinsic motivation. Now, transactional leaders are focused on delivering results. They're not concerned particularly with the welfare or the well-being of their subordinates. Their use of rewards and punishments means they are extrinsic motivators because they rely on these rewards and punishments to motivate people instead of helping their subordinates find intrinsic joy or motivation in the job itself. Now, in today's world, transactional leaders are out of favor. Most aspiring leaders yearn to be the type of leader to change the paradigm of how things are done and develop new visions of the future. So rules, following procedures and following standards are out of fashion for leaders. Everybody wants to be a leader, not a manager. Yet the world needs transactional leaders. They are especially useful in crisis and turnaround situations when short-term goals need to be achieved quickly and decisively. They also work well in organizations where structure and systems are important, such as high-volume manufacturing. Now, transactional leadership is common in sports teams and can be a very powerful motivator for players from game to game. So winning a game is the reward, and losing may mean losing your place in the team for the next game next week. Now, this type of leadership can be hugely motivating with subordinates, willing to risk serious injury to achieve the results being asked for them by their leader or their coach. Finally, transactional leaders can also be seen to have many positive traits such as straightforwardness, practicality, and transparency, as you understand exactly what they expect you to achieve. Now, there are a number of advantages and disadvantages associated with transactional leadership. So in terms of advantages, it rewards those subordinates who do it as they are told. It has a clear chain of command that can be applied even within a large organization. It achieves short-term goals quickly and effectively, and rewards and punishments are very clear to employees, and so are expectations. In terms of disadvantages, then subordinates are rewarded only in an extrinsic way, such as being given a bonus. No consideration is given to making their work more interesting or improving their well-being. Individual creativity isn't encouraged, as processes and goals are already set. It doesn't work well in environments where flexibility is required. Subordinates are not encouraged to perform beyond their expectations. Subordinates are not encouraged to find new ways of solving problems. And finally, values do not play a role in the theory. So, in summary, transactional leaders, also known as managerial leaders, motivate their subordinates through a system of reward and punishment. If a subordinate does what has been asked of them, they will get rewarded, and conversely, if a subordinate fails to live up to the expectations of the leader, a punishment will follow. Transactional leaders do not believe that subordinates are self-motivated. They believe they can only be motivated through this system of reward and punishment, and that they must be monitored to produce satisfactory work. Now, important characteristics of transactional leaders include: rewards are contingent on performance, they work within the current system or the current status quo, they manage by exception either actively or passively, they have a very short-term focus, and finally, they motivate their team extrinsically rather than intrinsically. So that's it from me. I really hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon.